What is happening, every ones and twos? It's your boy Dion, and I am back at you guys with more casual geographic videos. I love his videos. I enjoy learning more and more about nature. I do not know many things about nature, so I actually used to follow his TikTok channel a while back. So I'm interested to see exactly what this video is. This one says the one rule of nature school never taught you. So I'm interested to see exactly what school never taught me, because there are a lot of things that school never teaches you. Doesn't teach you about taxes, doesn't teach you about credit, none of that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my videos. If you are, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe down below, and let's jump directly into the video.
Hello. She wants to come in, does.
What are you
You
doing?
have been consistently lied to your entire life, and the biggest source of some of the most unprovoked lies is school. School really told us that this dude in '92 discovered America, that quicksand and giant Venus flytraps were way more of an issue than they ended up being.
Yeah, because when it comes down to quicksand, isn't it a situation where you just have to keep moving your feet? Like, if you just keep moving your feet, you never sink into quicksand. Because it basically just goes based off like your body settling in, or the weight of your body.
That writing in cursive was the only way you'd ever be taken seriously. And my personal favorite, whenever a teacher would say, "This won't slide in college." Whole time your calculus professor at 5 p.m. can end up your beer pong partner by 11. But there's one mistruth that insists on being spread, and before we get to that, story time. So back in the 70s,
God
ornithologists
damn.
noticed something pretty disturbing, even for them. Fola is a remote island over 200 miles off Scotland, and for generations, migratory birds, specifically Arctic terns and one of the ops of happy feet, the skua, use it as nesting grounds to raise their chicks. And a group of ornithologists noticed a gruesome trend of chicks with pretty graphic injuries. Some chicks looked like they had a leg or two ripped off. For others, the same but with their wings. Some chicks even had their heads divorced from their body, for sure irreconcilable. And while some of the chicks somehow survived being mutilated, scientists had no idea what was causing this sudden rise in amputees. At first they guessed otters or even hedgehogs, but it turned out
Okay. I'm gonna guess what I think it is. So he said it's something ripping limbs and stuff like that off of chicks. I'm gonna suspect it could be vultures or a fox or something like that. Maybe it's a fox.
to be neither. You want to know what it was? I promise you'll never guess it. I'll even give you a chance to try. Comment what you think. I bet you're wrong. The answer? Sheep. Yeah, sheep.
Huh?
Scientists observed grazing sheep stumble across a defenseless chicken without a second thought or really even much of a prequel, grab them and eat them. Sometimes
Why?
the sheep would snap off a leg for a premature drumstick. Other times they might grab one by the head and initiate a permanent separation, swallowing skull and all whole. From 1973 to 1980, nearly 700 baby birds have been victimized by the business end of a carnivorous Q-tip. In the grand scheme of
Why?
things, that's only a dent in the thousands of birds born in that time. Then again, nobody expected sheep to be involved in foul play. And that goes back to those lies I told you about. So in science class, we were taught this rule. Herbivores eat plants, carnivores eat meat, and those with culinary commitment issues are called omnivores.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, that's where it ended, but of course, nature's more complicated than that.
He just went
It's like
back
a
in there.
spectrum, and on one end you have obligate herbivores, as in they're obligated to eat just plants or starve to death. Here you got animals like koalas, sloths, and the dead-eyed plush toy, the bear cuscus. Then you have the same concept but obligate carnivores, like cats, of every kind. And smack in the middle are your omnivores. But there's also
Which is funny, because they say that when it comes down to cats, cat owners should actually be very, very careful. I'm a dog person myself. Like, personally, I even have like a German Shepherd. So for me, I'm always been a dog person. But cats will literally, if you leave them there and you die, they'll literally start eating your body. Like, they'll just rip you apart. Like that's what they'll just do. When it comes down to like a dog or something like that, and he sees your dead, lifeless body just in the living room, he'll literally just rather starve than ever touch you.
facultatives, and basically that means most of the time you'll find them at one end, but every once in a while they'll borrow a meal plan from the other side. Polar bears are hypercarnivores, with most of their calories coming from seals. But rarely they'll switch it up to berries, seaweed, moss, and even straight up grass, which makes them
Grass?
facultative carnivores and not an obligate like a lion. And since we're already on bears, pandas are a good example of facultative herbivores. I promise it's gonna get less complicated. Yin Yang Yogi's defining personality trait is being a bamboo merchant.
Yin Yang
But
Yo.
every once in a while, they surprise us, like when this panda was caught in 4K eating a past tense wildebeest, or when the DreamWorks jockey chased, caught, murked, and ate a peacock. They've also been known to hunt
What?
pikas. That's a pika. So even though most of what goes down his gullet is bamboo, protein in the form of meat.
Is that a pika? Like, is that what's
Pikas.
left of a pika?
That's a pika. So even though
Is that what's left of him?
most of what goes down his gullet is bamboo, protein in the form of meat is never really off the table, which makes them facultative herbivores. And they're not the only ones. Almost the opposite. Almost every herbivore you can think of is actually facultative, even the ones you wouldn't expect. That's how the Good Vibes vegan aqua blimp has also been known to snag fish from nets for themselves. Then you got the normally vegetarian shell jockey the tortoise, turning a rabbit.
Turtles are nature's amazing animal. They do nothing wrong to nobody. They love everyone. I mean, not this one, obviously. I mean, it's being ripped apart, but tortoises are fucking amazing. I used to have a turtle as a kid, so I have a special love for tortoises.
Carcass into a cookout. They've also been known to plot on and consume unlucky birds. To be fair, you can literally fly but get taken off a stick by a mobile boulder. That's more about you than him. There was even that time India released 25,000 flesh-eating turtles to deal with the whole corpse population problem in the Ganges. It didn't work, by the way. But by far, the biggest culprit of covert carnivory are deer. The same deer that's usually the poster boy for the middle child of the food chain will
What?
occasionally get calories from something like a past tense bunny. A couple years ago, researchers wanted to
Yo,
see
he
just
was
what
just
happens to the
chewing
human
on
body
that.
after the soul evacuates, and basically set up these body farms to see how they decompose. As you can probably guess, photos would go viral featuring deer chewing on human bones, scavenging through the man-made remains like vultures. In 2015, researchers in North Dakota set up nest cams for a 24-hour live stream of
What?
hatchlings. And not only did the footage catch deer enjoying an extremely late-term omelet, the cervix actually outdid the foxes and weasels in that area, i.e. the ones you'd expect that from. And it
What?
wasn't just them being opportunity merchants. Some of those deer went out of their way to get to them. And in Canada, scientists were looking to
So
study different
they
species of birds and
actually
trapped them
like
using
birds
mist nets,
as like a
only for
delicacy.
the unhinged ruminants to stroll in and eat the trapped and struggling birds alive, right out of the nets. Growing up is realizing Bambi would have 100% turned on Thumper if times got tough.
But that's the question. Why would they do that? I mean, birds don't even have like bones or a large amount of meat on them. So are they doing it just because they enjoy it, or is it because it's some type of weird protein that they get out of it? Because it's hard for me to understand exactly like what actual nutrients that a deer would get out of a bird. Because it's just not big enough to be considered like an actual real meal or anything.
It's now believed that a nutrient deficiency and a food shortage is really all it takes for an animal to go from herbivore to fernivore. Because one thing about animals, they don't care. A deer not finna pass down a chance for easy protein just because a textbook says they shouldn't. The twist is, almost every herbivore on Earth is facultative, meaning they'll take a page out of a predator's playbook if circumstances call for it. That's how you get normally docile horses.
Oh
treating big
no!
animals like popcorn
Oh no!
chicken. Or that time cows in Australia were caught slurping pythons like fruit roll-ups, all because they were apparently fiending for phosphorus. Even giraffes. Yeah, they're not safe either. The verticality merchants of the motherland will often feed off the bones of other animals. Not really swallowing them, but more like licking and sucking on it, pause. So their saliva can leach out nutrients like calcium and phosphorus.
Please don't say that ever
There have also
again.
been cases of the camel leopard cosplaying antelope snatching up birds to feed on their misfortune. So far, we've learned 3 things. 1, most herbivores are about as vegetarian as their options. 2, baby birds are really the Kit Kat bars of nature. And 3, now
Literally.
you see why Marty did everything in his power to get up out of there. His entire friend group would have had his hide if it got to that point. Which of course brings us to hippos. And this
Oh,
is where
no.
things get complicated. At this point, it probably surprises exactly none of you that the 4-legged assassination cetacean can have a hankering for flesh. Hippos have been seen
Yeah,
eating
hippos will
carcasses,
eat anything.
even resorting to cannibalism.
Like
It's complicated
anything.
because for a while we thought it was the same deal as before, just animals switching it up when their primary food source is compromised, which would make hippos facultative herbivores. There's that word again. Except, more and more scientists are coming to the conclusion that hippos eating meat aren't just scavenging or being opportunists. It's just hippos hippoing. As in, hippos will put themselves in a position to catch a body and subsequently feed on it. There have been reports of hippos murking livestock and seemingly predatory assaults.
Because hippos kill like a lot of people. Like, hippos murk a lot of humans.
Some even believe hippos will purposely park themselves in a river migrating animals have no choice but to cross, just so they can turn the casualties into calories. Sometimes that involves punking crocodiles out of food. And of course, you already know, hippos are not above feeding off friendly fire. All this means, hippos might not even be herbivores at all, but identify closer to the omnivore side of the spectrum. And that's why it's complicated, because now you're probably asking, what's the difference between a facultative herbivore and a straight up omnivore? And there's an answer. I just really couldn't tell you. Like, you could say facultatives eat mostly plants but can resort to meat as a fallback, where omnivores can normally go either way, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't just make that up on the spot. But moral of the story, it's way more complex than just putting labels on things and calling it a day. For example, that is a common diker. It's an antelope less than 2 feet tall found in sub-Saharan Africa. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the only antelope that regularly eats meat. Along with the shrubs and grasses you'd expect, the meal plan for this antelope undertaker often involves...
Those antelopes are weird because they have like they have 2 sets of nostrils. So they have one right here, then they have another one right where they're like usually your skull or tear duct would be. But they're like right there. I'm like, ugh, that's disgusting.
Combing through corpses.
Nature, you
along
scary.
With lizards, frogs, small rodents, and, you guessed it, baby birds. And because a good percentage of their diet requires other animals to diet with the T silent, I'd call the diker an omnivore. But then, you got this. The tree-loving, pretty privileged acorn hoarders of the rodent world.
Yep.
Many will tell
The
you that with
squirrel.
a grocery list of mostly plants, fruits, nuts, and seeds, the squirrel is mostly herbivorous. But squirrels are also infamous for raiding
like,
birds' nests and turning creamy poultry into protein.
Squirrels will
And they do this a lot.
crazy for
On occasion,
birds.
You'll see squirrels pack up chickens and snakes. There was even a story of a pack of Russian squirrels ganging up on a stray dog and eviscerating the canine alive, each scurrying off with a shell of flesh. Yeah, not so cute now. They're not the only rodents that go rogue either. Normally, grass-eating prairie dogs have been known to savage baby ground squirrels, and on rare occasions, even eat the remains. In case you're curious, they do this by shaking the baby violently until their existence gets revoked. That's not even my worst rodent fact in the chamber. In 1995, a 43-year-old woman was found deceased in her flat with facial lesions and lacerations, and the fact that she was naked from the waist down, first responders thought it was a special victims unit kind of crime. Except it was later determined that she had expired to pneumonia. The desecration of her corpse was caused by her pet golden hamster. Not only did the pet feed on her vacated vessel, law enforcement would find the hamster's makeshift burrow containing human skin, flesh, and muscle tissue.
Wow.
That shouldn't even really be a surprise since hamsters are known cannibals, but what you might not know is that sometimes it can be caused by corn. Researchers at the University of Strasbourg found this out by accident when they tried to figure out why the female hamsters under their care kept dominating their own children. Through some likely traumatizing trial and error, they figured out that just a corn diet was even the hamsters missing crucial vitamins, specifically B3. They figured that out because once they added B3 back into their diets, the mother hamsters suddenly remembered how to mother. And the crazy part is, that can happen to people. Vitamin B3 deficiency can lead to pellagra, a disease associated with diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia, and eventually diabetes.
But that's the weird thing, because when it comes down to corn technically isn't even like a real food itself. Like, corn doesn't change in your body. Like, your body can't break down corn. So how would that vitamin B be something that's like crucial to like your body itself be having to like be a must-have for your body? That's weird, because your body can't break that shit down. It's not made to like break down corn.
So in a weird twist, an unbalanced diet can really lead to spawn-wrecking rodents, and they're not the only known cannibals in nature. Chimpanzees are a great example of animals don't care. Chimps have been known to de-life their rivals and devour the body. Now to us, it's horrific and it makes chimps the spawn of Satan. To a chimp with no legal system or a sense of morality, just a will to live, it's common sense, murking your rival to protect your food supply and not letting easy protein go to waste. And before you judge, early humans reportedly made the brains of terminated children a somewhat regular part of their diets. But I think people forget chimps aren't just violent pseudo-vegans, they're legit predators.
Yeah.
As in, they'll work together in coordinated attacks on prey like colobus monkeys. which, you know, isn't all that different from getting
Ugh.
disemboweled by a pack of Olympic-level parkour zombies. They've also been known to hunt bush babies, that's a bush baby, by using spears. But with all the chimp carnage on this
I
channel,
mean,
them having carnivore
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, chimps are like a very long lost cousin from humans. So it's not, you know, too far fetched that they'll actually start using stuff like tools and weapons and stuff like that. And which I hate when people say this. They're like, oh, well, we evolved from chimps or monkeys or whatever like that. No, we did not evolve from monkeys or chimps or anything like that. We had a common ancestor that was long lost ancestor that was related to monkeys. And they split off into two different directions. One section became monkeys, and the other ones became humans that we know today. So it's just an evolutionary trait.
tendencies should really be no surprise. The plot twist is, even the pacifists of the great apes can be on predatory timing. Most people, including me about 2 weeks ago, see orangutans as a good vibes hippie vegetarians of the primate world. Which is almost true. Ginger apes eat mostly the stuff you'd expect, you know, fruits, figs, leaves, maybe some termites to go with bird eggs. But then you got this, an orangutan tearing apart a slow loris. The same one known for being venomous, which orangs figured out how to neutralize by using the loris's natural weakness. Blunt force trauma in the form of a bite through the skull. Now, to be fair, a meat-eating man of the forest is remarkably rare. But then again, chances are, before this video, a good number of y'all probably thought orangutans were only a threat to pieces of fruit. The same way a lot of people feel about toucans. Well, this roided up woodpecker, which is actually what toucans are, the more you know. Has also been
Really?
known to
They're
put bats
just
on
a
permanently
cousin of a
life.
woodpecker?
Yeah, that's the part Fruit Loops commercials ain't show you. They're also one of the many animals on the list of population control for baby birds. Oh, you thought that was a mammal thing? Well, two can play that game. Yo, who wrote this? I did. I wrote it.
Bruh.
But birds in general will eat virtually anything that doesn't pack them up in the process. Seagulls have been seen scarfing down squirrels with zero remorse.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's at least one person in the world down a dog thanks to this flying antichrist.
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans, so I know that seagulls and pelicans will eat anything. They will eat anything. They'll try to eat you if they could. Trust me.
But the biggest example of feathery f***ery is what happens on Malgus Island. This is where we go full circle. This island off the coast of South Africa is a nursery for the thousands of Cape Gannets nesting here. Which would probably be a good idea if someone ain't snitched to the pelicans. Because a population of white pelicans started traveling to Malgus just so they can swallow Gannet chicks whole. Often right in front of their parents.
What?
And if one was unlucky enough to have both parents out at sea, that's just an easy link for this Attack on Titan pterosaur. It gets worse when you realize the half-digested, fully molested baby birds often end up being regurgitated for the pelican progeny to eat. And you thought they just ate fish. Predators come in many forms, and one island in the Pacific is home to one of the most unlikely. Because if you bleed on the wrong island, you can attract a pack of coconut crabs. Not only is this a manifestation in the form of crustacean attracted to blood, they're more than enthusiastic scavengers. In a study done on
But coconut crabs aren't that like lethal though. Like
completely undress a pig carcass down to the bones. But with pinchers,
coconut crabs are very slow and they're not technically small, but you know, come on now.
This video was taken of a crab
But they're
after it had
extremely
snapped
slow.
the hollow bones of a seabird. The part you don't see is where a group of crabs arrived at the injured and incapacitated avian and proceeded to tear the bird apart. They've also been known to make a meal out of rats, cats, and maybe even humans. Because a grisly theory on the disappearance of Amelia Earhart was that a cluster of crabs got to her before anyone else could. And the worst part? There's no guarantee she was relieved from life by the time they got to her. Because even though Mr. Krabs on creatine normally goes for fruit, just like...
I mean, Amelia Earhart, that's a very heavy theory, but I don't think that's even remotely possible that she was killed by crabs in any type of way. Unless she, her plane crashed, she survived, made her way to shore, but her legs or whatever like that was broken, and she just had no way to specifically, you know, to get away from them. Because Amelia Earhart, she just disappeared when she was supposed to be, you know, flying. So it's like, I think her plane just probably crashed into the sea or into the ocean, and then she just disappeared into the water. That's probably what happened.
Like most animals on Earth, they're only as vegetarian as their options. Hug your loved ones, stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Oh, speaking of which, my eye's fine. I got LASIK, so I look like I lost the fight, but I also got the gift of sight, so it's alright. Alright, peace out.
Cook it. No, so we're saving a pelican.
Can we
I
have?
can cook the fish, so
Yeah, she's a little nicer than you.
Is he
yeah,
stuck?
I guess.
Oh, he's got a hook in him.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
We're saving the pelican.
Pelican go.
Oh, it got a hook stuck into the fish, and the hook got stuck into his mouth. God. As I said, pelicans will eat anything. Pelicans, seagulls, they will eat and chomp on anything that you put directly in front of them. But I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. If you did, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe down below for more videos just like this one. Make sure you like me, let me